Hey guys, Will Terry here, and I don't even know what this video is going to be called, but you can read the title and you'll probably know. So I'm heading to Salt Lake right now, going to a video shoot for SVS, that's Society of Visual Storytelling, and I'm going to be shooting an acrylic video. I'll have some footage. We'll show some footage there. We're also going to show some other artists that are going to be making their videos, and also basically some behind the scenes stuff with SVS. One little thing I get when I film and drive like this, I get comments like, "That's dangerous. You know, I don't approve of that. You're filming and driving." And I really do appreciate the concern, but think of it like this. You know how when sometimes you're driving and you put one hand on the wheel and you put the other hand on the armrest? That's what my other arm's doing right now, and I'm not focused on. I don't have to do anything to actually film. I'm actually looking straight ahead, and everything's going to be fine. But I do appreciate the concern. So yeah, I thought I would talk just as I'm driving up here a little bit. I'm actually, if you don't follow my channel, I live in Utah, and I started SBS with Jake Parker about, I think we're on our 4th year, I believe, and this has been kind of a dream of mine. Well, one, I thought I would never ever out of high school have a good job or ever be able to make enough money to support a family, or to be able to even have a job that I liked, or that I could do anything that I remotely enjoyed. And that's simply because I did so horribly in elementary school and junior high. I was like ADHD. I don't know if I was ADHD or ADD, but definitely attention problems, and got horrible grades in math class and English and science. About the only thing I was good at was art, and whenever we got out the art supplies, I flourished. And because of that, I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get into college. I ended up going in the back. I crawled through the sewers to get into college. I had to jump through a bunch of hoops and go during the spring semester on a probationary period and things like that. But ended up doing okay, and you know, and found that I could actually create a career doing freelance illustration. And so I'm going to be showing my acrylic process, and that's what I started doing. I really kind of gravitated towards acrylics when I was in college, and then I painted for the next 17 years as a freelance illustrator in acrylics. And then about 6 years ago, I switched over to digital, 6 or 7 years ago. And excuse me, I love digital, I really do. But I also love traditional. And I mean, at the end of the day, when you work digitally, you don't have an original. That's probably to me the biggest downside. Another big downside is that you get no props for working digitally. Like people will look at your work and go, "Oh, I like that. That's cool. How did you do that?" Digital. Oh, all right. But if you are working traditionally in watercolors or oils or acrylics or whatever, pencil, graphite, whatever, how'd you do this? Acrylics. Oh my gosh, you did that in acrylics? Ah! And to me, it's like, digital's still hard. I mean, like, you can't just snap your fingers and make it happen, but it does come with tools that definitely make things easier. So I had to dust off the acrylics and start practicing again, and that's what you're going to see in this upcoming video shoot. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I was going to also say, the reason I'm going to Salt Lake to do this is we found a really neat house on Airbnb, and that's where I'm going right now, and that's where our video crew is going to be meeting us up there, and I think Jake's going to be up there Gonna miss Lee White this time because he's not coming out. He lives in Portland, but anyway, let's go to the shoot. So this is the house we rented. The reason we did it is because it's in a quiet neighborhood, and a lot of the sound studios we've rented in the past have actually been noisy. Okay, there's a deer right over there, but he got away.
What are you guys talking about?
Hey, look, there's Mr. Jake Parker, and here's our film crew, Becca and Eric. And so we're just setting up a shot for me to do my video. All right, so you can see me in here giving my my presentation. Obviously, the video here looks like crap compared to what it's going to look like with the really expensive cameras, but this gives you an idea of basically what it looks like. Again, look at how little paint I have. If I paint on my finger, you can't see anything coming off, but there's enough coming off that I'm actually able to apply this almost like chalk pastels, right? I'm now finished with my video, and they're getting ready to video Dan Mortensen here.
Explain why you put the mirror and everything just right out the gate.
He's going to make a video on making maquettes for character consistency.
Nice. Yeah, make sure you do a good job.
Yeah, make sure
don't screw it up. I know you struggle with that.
Yeah. As they say, break a leg. But don't.
Don't break your sculpture's leg.
Yeah.
He got that on camera, right? Sassy. Like, oh, so make sure you do a good job, okay?
You got your true self on camera.
Alright.
Okay, so day one of filming is over. I filmed my class. Dan Mortensen filmed his class on the sculpting, and it went really well. I thought I might just kind of talk a little bit about you know, what it's like, you know, what we do when we make a video. One of the hardest things I find is, you know, when you learn these different skills in art, you learn them over time, and then when you try to make an instructional video for, you know, that lasts an hour or two, one of the hard parts is you have to kind of recall all those little tips and tricks and techniques and skills and rules that you kind of stored away over time, but you have to recall them all out at once, and there's no possible way that you'll ever lay down the perfect video. There will always be things when you watch it later where you say, oh, I should have said this, or I should have said that. But you know, you have to just do the best that you can and kind of roll with it. We've had some teachers before in the previous company that I was working with, that they would get really hung up on saying all the right words in the intro. The intro is absolutely the hardest part, because you're cold. Everybody that's on the set is kind of just looking at you. They can't talk. They can't give you any kind of feedback. They can nod their head, but they can't, you know. And so it just is really an awkward situation where there's all these people in the room, and yet you're the only one talking, and no one's going to respond back, and you're not sure how it's being received. And so you try to string together the right words, and you never can. The getting it going in the beginning, it's like all of a sudden you can't talk, and that really freaks out a lot of teachers. And my best advice there is, if you're ever going to make a tutorial, or, you know, a YouTube video or an instructional video, is just knowing that the start is the hardest part actually makes it easier, because once you get into the flow of things and you start talking conversationally, you can kind of channel and imagine that there's somebody there with you that you're actually talking to, maybe like a friend, or that you're actually teaching a class, because you know that people are going to watch the video. They're just not watching. The people that are ultimately going to use it aren't watching it at that point. And so, you know, you just have to be very kind of conscious that, you know, you're laying this down for another time. But getting through that initial intro, definitely the toughest. I think I did 3 takes. I was going to say, we had a teacher one time that went, I think, 20 takes or something, and we finally had to say, I think this person thought that they could eventually just get it perfect, and you can't. You really have to kind of get going to where you kind of fix some of the things that you said wrong and just kind of roll with it. Unless you're one of these broadcaster types that's just gifted, and that's like a whole nother skill set. That's a whole nother thing. But most people that are artists, that they didn't go into broadcasting, they probably don't have those skills. So, you just kind of have to know that. But yeah, we finally had to tell this teacher, like, just move on, and maybe we'll do the intro at the end because you'll kind of get into the flow. And he did. He got into. Once you get into the teaching part, it's the easiest. It's just you just start flowing and you just start sharing the thing that you're good at, that you've spent a lot of time developing the skills, and then you're just explaining, and that's to me that's what's fun about teaching, is trying to put into words what you do every day, and helping others and explaining to others kind of what you're doing. So we finished that shoot. And then we have 2 more tomorrow, and it's going to be really fun for me because I'm already done with mine, so the hard part's over, and I just get to watch what other people are doing and laying down. So I will check in with you again, and I'll take some more footage tomorrow. Hey guys, so it's day 2. I'm heading up for the second day of shooting our videos, and I thought what I would do is actually tell you kind of like a sneak peek of who we've been videotaping and video recording and why and all that kind of stuff. So yesterday, obviously I went first and recorded my acrylic class, but then we had Dan Mortensen, and he is an amazing sculptor, and he's got an amazing pedigree. He's worked for, he's done all kinds of stuff in animation, making maquettes for the artists, for the animators, who then, draw from those. That's one of the reasons why we wanted a class like that on SBS, is it's so hard to get a likeness in your characters, and that seems to be one of the number one requests we get from students and just people that have come across our site. Do you have a class on how I can make my comic book or my children's book art characters look the same from page to page? That was a technique that they used in animation, and that's what Dan and what he's primarily worked for. He also does a lot of gallery and personal work, that selling sculptures and things like that. But he worked on movies like Coraline and things like that. So we thought he'd be a perfect guy for this, and I thought the video went amazingly well yesterday. Today we have 2 other artists that are just amazing, and I use the word amazing a lot. I think probably it's amazing how many times I use the word amazing. So first, today is the all Nate day, because both of the guys that are laying down their classes they're both Nate, and so we have Nate Hale going first, and then Nate Barch. And Nate Hale is a decorated children's book illustrator and but primarily now graphic novel artist. And he's going to make a video on how to make a graphic novel, and the things that you need to think about when making a graphic novel, and how that's different from a comic book, and how it's different from a children's book, and basically his process. Right now, he has been doing this series for Abrams, and his editor is Chad Beckerman. Love Chad. And it's high profile. It's called Hazardous Tales, and what he's done, he's created, he's taken basically historical events, and basically just kind of made a graphic novel about that, and kind of added to the history, and but it's all based on actual events, And so teachers love it. Librarians love it because they can, in the classroom, they can actually use it to help their students learn about history. And his have been doing amazingly well. You can find them on, you can find them on Amazon, but you can find them in your local bookstores as well. The series is called Hazardous Tales, and I think he's going to, I'll learn a lot more about the series after watching him record the video today, because he's going to base it on the work that he's been doing for that series, for Abrams. And then following that, we're going to have Nate Barge. And Nate works for a children's educational software company, where they put out, educational material that's used in schools. But on the side, he has been making art for toys, for like little not die-cast, I don't think, molded toys. Again, I'm going to learn more about that too. If you go into his office, he's got toys everywhere, because that's his passion project right there. So he does work for these companies where he will get the artwork ready and prepared for them to actually make that artwork into a three-dimensional toy. So I think that we kind of felt like that would be a really fun class to have, because that's a market it's hard to get into some of these little niche markets if you have no clue of even how to get into them, or how to prepare your artwork for them, or how to look attractive to the art buyers in those industries. And but if you have stuff in your portfolio that looks like you know what you're doing, you never know, you could end up landing a job from someone cruising your website. And so that's what we're really looking to do at SVS, is really come up with classes that can really help you develop your career, help you develop your skill set. I might mention at this time another class that we're working on and that's coming out. And so just to be clear, on SVS we have kind of a variety of things. We have really long classes that we've taught live that you can stream because the class has already happened. And some of them, the longest one is our children's book class, which is over 20 hours of video, and it has a 200-page manual that goes with it. The other one, then we have down to 1-hour tutorials and stuff like that. But this class I'm talking about is a live writing class taught by Ann Whitford Paul. She is an amazing children's book illustrator, very prolific. I think she's got over 20 books that she's written and had published with big publishers. And she is an expert on teaching. She's not just anybody. She actually wrote the book on how to write children's books. It's called Writing Picture Books, and you can find that on Amazon. She's going to be basing the class on that text. And that class, if you're watching this video in 2016, this is August right now, the class is going to start in September, and it's open to 20 live students. We still have a little bit of space left, and by the time you're watching this video, you might not, but I think it's going to be an amazing class. Part of doing all this is actually selfish for me, because a lot of people think that I know how to write a children's book. I don't. I've tried. I had one almost published by Scholastic. It fell through. And the reason I say I don't is because when I critique an illustration, or when I'm drawing my own or looking at someone else's, I almost always can look at it and know exactly what needs to happen to fix it. When I write a manuscript, I don't know if it's good or bad. There's things I like about it. I can sense that there's problems, but I don't know what those problems are, and I don't know how to fix them. Whereas other authors can come right in and go, "Oh, your pacing's wrong, or your structure's all off. You've got 2 plot points. You don't have a good story arc, whatever." And they can explain it. It makes sense when they explain it, but I don't have enough time doing it. So one of the cool things for me is to actually be able to work in a company where we can decide what classes we want, and I can pick classes that I want for us to have based on what I want to learn myself. So I'll be helping Ann with that class. I'll be in the classroom, in the GoToMeeting classroom with her. And then Jake will be in there, I think, 1 or 2 nights, and so will Lee. Hoping to learn a lot there. My exit's coming up, so I'm going to wrap this part up, and I'll have some footage from the shoot if I haven't already showed it. And anyway, thanks for watching this part. This is Nate Hale, by the way. He's getting ready.
Hey, hey.
Just kind of
A little on the
getting lights and everything. Camera's ready. Say something funny, Nate.
Look how many markers I brought that didn't work. Look at all these. They're all tried out. Look at this cute little Sharpie. This says, I love NTTBF. That is the North Texas Teen Book Festival. But look at this nonsense. It barely works.
Oh, come on.
Come on, North Texas Teen Book Festival. Get your acts together. No. You know, they don't make any
Sausage
marks.
is made.
Magic marker. You missed that one?
Okay.
Mom?
Did I get you guys yesterday?
You got me being really sassy today.
What's that, Nate?
Did you miss the magic marker?
Yeah.
The marks a lot? They don't make that anymore.
No.
Magic marker. That was like the marker.
Right.
Sharpie came in, took over. What I like to do is break it into the pages that it will go on. This is a big thing. See, I came from picture books. Picture books.
Okay, so I decided not to videotape the finish of this or the end of this video while I was driving because traffic got really bad. I think there was a wreck on the highway, and so I decided to finish it at home. So that's basically a day in the life of a video shoot. We're starting to do more of those, and or 2 days in the life. I did want to mention a couple things. One, our schedule for release. We're trying to release a video every other week on SVS, a new class, and that's other than the live classes that we're going to start having more of too, and critiques and stuff. But the reason for that is we've got a subscription, and we want to make sure that there's fresh content going out all the time. Also, because a lot of people will ask me like, "Hey, when are these videos going to be released? The ones that you just shot?" And I don't actually have actual dates on those just yet. Also, they're, the video, you saw the guy and the girl in there, Eric and Beckham, and they are going to be editing those videos. They have a busy schedule. They shoot a lot of videos for a lot of different companies, and so they're going to take some time to do that. And but the other thing I wanted to talk about was the compare and contrast between, and I made a video about this before, I think like a year ago, about the difference between college, taking like an art school approach versus like SVS, or an online tutorial / art class situation. And a lot of people are asked, which one is better? I think that's the wrong question. I think the question is, what are the strengths and weaknesses of both? And obviously I'm biased, but I do work for both up until this semester. And excuse me, I did make a video on the pros and cons. I'll link that below in the description as well. But in a nutshell, it's basically like this, and this is one of the biggest strengths I think that we have at SVS is, when you go to a regular college, a university, art school, unless you're paying gourmet prices for, a really good art school, you're kind of stuck with the teachers that you get. Now, sometimes they're the perfect teachers. Sometimes they're amazing. There are definitely amazing teachers in the university setting. There's also a lot of duds. I made a video about that too. There are a lot of teachers who are good but don't show up to class. A lot of teachers that are great artists but not great teachers, and so on and so forth. The advantage that we have with SVS is we get to pick and choose our teachers, and we can choose from anybody all over the world. So, we have a video from Therese Larson, for instance, and she lives in Stockholm, and she made the video on painting fur and hair. And I mean, like, the reason we got her was because she's just one of the best in the world. So we're not limited by location. You know, sometimes when you're going to the university, also you want specialty classes or specialty training that you're not going to get. Sometimes you will get it. Sometimes these people will visit and they'll do a one-day lecture, or they'll do a workshop or something like that. But you're I would say the downside is you're given what they get for you, while you're there for those 4 years. So you might find out that the year before you started, they had somebody that you really wanted to see, or the year after somebody came that you really wanted to see, but it's really not up to you. And what we're hoping to build is a library of the best people in the world, so that you can pick and choose the people we want to learn from. The downside for us is that we don't have hands-on, one-on-one help. We do in the live classes, because we're having critiques. So, like for instance, the writing class that's coming up, if you've written a manuscript, it will be critiqued. So you'll get direct feedback, which is pretty much like you would get in a college class. It's a much shorter class. It's 10 weeks instead of, I guess a regular college class is like 14. So I guess it's not too much shorter, but less time in the classroom and things like that. And there are some drawbacks of doing it online, where you can't just be there in the classroom, stay after class and ask the teacher questions. Although in the live classes you can ask questions, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, I hope this helps you. For those of you that are interested, I don't usually make videos about SVS on my channel here, but I thought what I'm trying to do is run my YouTube channel basically like what's happening in my artistic life. So if it happens to be conventions, you're going to get videos on conventions. If it happens to be freelance work, you're going to get videos on my freelance work. And if it happens to be online school, you're going to get that. I wish I could share with you more about the book that I'm working on for Penguin Random House right now, because it's really cool, but unfortunately I'm going to have to wait until it's either further along or finished. And I'll be checking with my editor to find out what I can share. It's kind of a dicey situation. You definitely don't want to just wing it and share stuff that you weren't supposed to share, because you don't want to risk getting in trouble with that kind of a thing. But I have talked about that a little bit before, but I haven't been able to show anything. But that's basically what I'm trying to do here. And so as other things come up with SPS, maybe we'll share some more of those. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and don't subscribe unless you want to see more stuff like this. And we'll see you on the next video.